Okay, so if you follow me, you know I like having cigars with coffee in the morning. You know, if you've checked out the breakfast cigars list, which granted needs to be updated, you know I like the cigars that make the coffee better, that the coffee makes the cigar better, and generally, I think, if not 100% of the time, 90 plus 99% of the time, those cigars generally have a Connecticut shade wrapper grown in Ecuador. It's what gives it that golden yellow color. It's not grown in the direct sunlight. And the Connecticut leaf grown in Ecuador seems to be the wrapper of choice for lighter cigars to pair with coffee. But today I'm doing something that I might very well regret. I'm smoking a cigar that it's called the Black Black. It's not an Ecuadorian Connecticut shade. I haven't eaten in 15 hours. I've got plenty of coffee, and I'll tell you why I'm doing this here in just a second, but let's dive right in. Hey guys, I'm Ellery Wells from the best place to find and rate where to smoke cigars. So you can go over to CigarScore.com, hit that Find Near Me button, and we'll show you where you can buy your cigars within, I don't know, it's like a 25-30 minute drive or less. So we're having business owners add their listings all the time. We've got to go through and approve them, but we do try to be the very best, most thorough place for you to find and rate where to smoke on the internet. And you can call your local place up and see if they have this Adrian Magnus cigar. So this is the Black Black. I will show it to you in the packaging here in a second. But the reason why I'm choosing to smoke this cigar with coffee on a fairly empty stomach is I've had two of these. These come in boxes of 3 here, which I love their packaging. It's like they could call it like the Weekender, you know? Although 3 cigars in a weekend, maybe if they doubled that or tripled that, you'd be all right. But it comes in these individual packages, so this is like this. But I remember thinking that all of these cigars, which ones are empty? These are the empty ones, I think. Yeah, these are empty. When I smoked the other 2 of these cigars, I remember thinking it was kind of light, it was kind of mild. And my theory is that these cigars with a heavy European influence are very mild. They are, I don't want to say they're more approachable, but they're not as strong. There's a reason why we have, I was thinking about this, there's a reason why we have Connecticut broadleaf and Pennsylvania broadleaf, but we don't have a London broadleaf or a Cotswolds broadleaf or a Berlin broadleaf or any of these things. Maybe they just hate tobacco over there, I don't know. Maybe the growing region's wrong, I don't know. But if you get a Pennsylvania or a Connecticut broadleaf in your cigar, you're gonna know it. And these are generally the European, so like the LA cigars, all of the Adrian Magnus that I've had are lighter cigars. They're light on the palate. They are lower on flavor per puff than, I mean, these are technically New World cigars too, but then your Nicaraguan Puros or some of your cigars that are made for the United States market. They might be made in the same factory, but they're made for a different market. And I don't want to say Europeans are mamby-pambies, but they're not even standing up for the right for freedom of speech. So let's take a closer look at these. Adrian Magnus, Black Black. Let's take a closer look. We're gonna get it cut and lit. Okay, for the sake of this video right here, I put the 3 cigars back in this sleeve so you get the full experience, just like I do. So here we are, Adrian Magnus Geneva Black Black, aged 12 years, ultra premium tobacco, which actually might be true. And then they've got this certificate here, maybe on your larger screen, or maybe when I'm editing I'll know what this says. But that is really freaking tiny font. But it was a seal. I cut through it with my knife because, you know, Texans carry knives all the time. I guess I'm really going hard on that whole European thing. So it comes in packages like this. You fold this out, and then you've got 3 cigars, empty, and then get those out of the way. And then you get one in this that says same thing, Adrian Magnus. And I just love this. I think the 3 cigar thing, that's why those leather things in 3 cigars are so freaking popular is, actually, I don't know why. I don't know why it's not 4 cigars. Maybe it'll fit in your back pocket. I don't know. Maybe that's a universal thing. But let's take a look at this cigar here. I bet it's beautiful. The other ones, I believe, have been. And just look at that. The sun is coming at the perfect angle, so the cigar looks almost wet. Oh, and it feels real nice. As my friend Christy would say, it's real nice, Clark. I think she's quoting one of those Lampoon movies. So anyway, I think we might have a slight blemish there, right there. And I think these are cigars, so I'd be a little bit disappointed, but look how smooth that cap is. By the way, just in transparency, they did send these to me for review, but I will tell you, I haven't liked all of them. So I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. Adrian Magnus, Geneva, Black, aged 12 years. Pretty good label. I don't know if the Geneva adds anything to the brand. It's not like chocolate or anything, but this is is this a slight tear? So I will also tell you that I've had these in my humidor for 2 months, 3 months maybe. And this is just the final one to do the review of. That might be a thing. Where to go? That might be a thing, and that might be a thing. But man, other than that, it looks great. Let's get it cut and smoked. All right, let's get the timer here. I feel like I rotated my chair a little bit to do that video. So let's get the timer started. As I mentioned, these European cigars are ones with a European influence, ones that are made for the European market. Might be a little bit more mild, so I'm kind of hoping that this one fits the bill and it just doesn't get me super lightheaded on this nicotine. It smells good. Ooh, the foot smells leafy, but the wrapper smells really fantastic. This is probably what, 6x52? That cap is perfect, almost perfect, very smooth. I also remember fresh out of the packaging that these initially had kind of a tight draw, so I went right up to the shoulder and cut all the way down. Still a little bit of a tight draw for me personally. Maybe that's how they were designed. I've been smoking a lot of Roma Craft Baca lately, and the first 5 or 6 out of that box were all very, it was a tight draw, but it forced you to smoke it slow. So maybe that's by design here. Unlike Padron, which slightly underfills their cigars, I think, to give you that great draw. The aroma is fantastic. I would still like to get a little bit more smoke. Yeah, it's just light on the smoke, but the flavors are good. Hopefully you can see that. It just doesn't provide a whole ton of smoke, and I like to smoke a cigar where the smoke is rich and billowy and you can just blow it out like a cloud and everybody knows that you're smoking a cigar. Maybe it'll open up. We're just a couple, 30 seconds, 45 seconds into this, but I think this is kind of on par with the other ones. So fairly mild is what I'm expecting. A slightly tight draw is what I'm expecting. Good flavors, but very faint, very light on the palate is what I'm expecting. But I'm reviewing this cigar mostly for the one here in front of you. I will keep the other ones in mind. If the other ones were just dog awful, they weren't, and this one was fantastic, I'd maybe do an average. But anyway, this is starting off like the other ones, but it has been a month and a half since I've had either of the other ones. So anyway, let's pull up the internet on this Adrian Magnus Black Toro. Let's learn how much it costs, what's inside of it, and all the details. All right, nothing like smoking a cigar to start your day. Am I right? So these cigars are expensive, but they also come in like tiny humidors. So when you buy a box of 24, it looks like there is, if you go over to CigarScore Lounge, you can find these. When you go to the cigars under A's, it's the top one. So bravo on, it's like when they do like AAA insurance back when we had the yellow pages, you wanted to be at the very beginning. Adrian Magnus says at the very beginning. But these cigars come in little humidors. They are really thick cedar. You can see what I'm talking about if you go over there. And they've got like a humidity gauge and all this other stuff. So built into that price is the cost of the box. So these are our. Let's get into the details. Wrapper's Ecuadorian, but what you're paying for is the 12 years of age on these cigars. And this is from their website. We've got it up in the description on ours. Adrian Magnus Black has been aged for 12 years. And from the moment you set your eyes on this exquisite cigar, and it generally is, except for the possible blemishes that I showed you, you know you're in for an experience like no other. With 12 years of meticulous aging, this premium long filler tobacco used in its production has reached its peak potential, resulting in a sensory explosion. It's a sensory whisper of complex flavors and aromas. So in a flavor explosion, it is not, but a nice, light on the palate, smooth experience, definitely. Woo. Woo. I mean, you could buy 2 boxes. Well, yeah, 2 boxes of the Alma Fuerte, but those are boxes of 10, so that's not quite fair. But anyway, is this cigar is Adrian Magnus going to bust into the United States market? And when we are bold, when we are walk quietly and carry a big stick, where we are manifest destiny, where we are a country of warriors and fighters, descendants from explorers? I don't know. I don't know if it'll be that. It's good, but I kind of want something more. Stick around and I'll let you know how it's going with the Adrian Magnus Black Toro. All right, we're coming up on an hour and a half with this Adrian Magnus Black Toro, specifically an hour and 29 minutes. So I did something I don't normally do. I actually jotted down just a handful of talking points for this video because I didn't want to forget some of the things that I noticed on this cigar. So let me run through those. This is pretty mild. Like I mentioned with the Guinness, it's a very dark beer but light on flavor. This is a fairly dark cigar. It's not, they call it the black, but there are cigars that are darker in appearance than this, like by a lot. So maybe like dark brown would be a more appropriate name for this cigar, but black, it's not as intimidating as it looks. Like I've mentioned, I've almost drank 3 cups of coffee while I've been sitting out here for an hour and a half, and I had an empty stomach, haven't eaten anything today, and I feel totally fine. It's also got a fairly low nicotine count. This is a very approachable cigar. It is light on the palate, but it is also expensive, and it comes in at almost, I think it was, and I think that they could possibly, they're going for that high price point, but what are you going to do with that box after you're done? Are you going to stick your Perdomo cigars or your Atabey cigars or your Rocky Patel cigars in a box that says Adrian Magnus on it just because it has a little bit of humidification in it? I don't think you're going to. And a box of 20 or 24, whatever it was, coming in at over is very expensive. That's very expensive for any cigar, really. So I think they could probably make this cigar more approachable if they nixed the fancy box and they just went with a regular box of cigars. But I think if they just went with a regular box, I mean, even if they shaved off of this, it'd still be a cigar. I think Adrian Magnus, guys, I think the US market is wanting a little bit more oomph, especially when you look at like Roma Craft generally makes really strong cigars, and they're generally very well sold. The Drew Estate, all of the Unico series, the T52, the number 9s, the H99s, all of those have more oomph to them. Perdomo's 20th anniversary has more oomph to them, and I think when you're looking at those really popular cigars, they tend to be fuller bodied than this. So it's a mild cigar. You could smoke it in the morning, even though it's it's to kick your day off, and that's fairly expensive. The last thing that I wanted to mention is that it's consistently kind of a tight draw, as evidenced also by the cone that I had in the first third, and we still ended up with a 1.5 hour smoke time. So consistent as expected. I don't love the tight draw. And the last thing I'll mention, I just remembered, is those two like minor blemishes on the wrapper. No impact whatsoever on the cigar. So to summarize, mild, expensive, tight draw, but it is a very approachable cigar other than the price point. So I'm going to give the Adrian Magnus Black Toro a cigar score of 4. It's expensive, but I like the cigar. I like the cigar. I wish it just punched me in the mouth a little bit more for what you get. And this cigar that's pretty good. And that's kind of where I'll leave you. A cigar score of 4 for the Adrian Magnus Black Toro. Thanks for watching. I'm Ellery Wells from the best place to find and rate where to smoke cigars. You can go over there, find near me, and call up your local lounge and see if they offer Adrian Magnus cigars. We do have them up over at CigarScore Lounge if you want to buy your cigars from me. That said, I hope you have an amazing day, and as always, happy smoking.